I've changed my front forks on my bike here to these air shocks without realising that they don't have any provision for any V-brakes on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this front wheel for some hydraulic disc brakes. And I've got my wheel. It's just a simple wheel from Decathlon, very basic. I don't need nothing fancy, not for me. And I've bought from Amazon a 180mm disc to place onto this wheel and some hydraulic brakes. But what I'm going to do is just show you how I'm going to fit the disc to the wheel. So let's put you down here just so you can see. There we go. There's my wheel. There's my disc. And you can see on this particular wheel, I bought a wheel specifically for disc brakes. Yeah, but also it'll take rim brakes if you so wish, and it comes with your axle and clamp arrangement there too. So I've got a rubber mat on the bench here, and also I've got my disc. And this disc came from Amazon, and it was very, very cheap. It was something like 15 euros. 15 to 18 euros. It comes with a set of screws, which have been stapled to the outside. Now these particular screws are quite important, in that you don't want to use any old screws. And the reason for that is that these screws have some thread lock on them. They've already been loaded with thread lock. And what thread lock does is it will prevent the actual screw from working its way loose, and then you're just falling off and jamming up everything in the wheel, and you end up going head over heel. So if you look on there, you will see there's some little blue bit on there. That is thread lock. That prevents the screw from working its way loose, which is a really good idea. Other than that, if your screws, let's say for instance you took one off, you're going to reuse the screws that you've got. I don't recommend that, but you say you are. You need to make sure you get yourself some thread lock, and it comes in a tube or a bottle. And so what it will do is it will prevent, if you put a little bit of that on your screw, that will prevent your screw from working its way out. Now, there's something really important about this disc that you must make sure that you do correctly, and that is the direction. Now, I have seen one of the reviews for this particular disc where it fell to pieces on them, and the reason that is they put it on the wrong way round. Now, if you look at this disc, there's arrows on it. Now, that means that has to travel in that direction. Now, the reason for that is because these, it's a bit like a motorbike one, because I've got a Suzuki GSX 1400, and the discs have these floating discs like this. Now basically what happens is it allows the bit you're going to get traction on, or resistance, allows it to float in either direction, and that's why they're called floating. So effectively it can do that. So if your wheel's slightly out of centre, or this is slightly out of centre, or whatever, effectively it will still grab, and it shouldn't feel all juddery as it's rotating. So that is the reason for that. But if you look on here also, there is more traction here than there is on the other side. So the shape of that is important. If you put it the wrong way around, it's going to try and pull away from the load-bearing surfaces. So it's really important it goes on the correct way. Now this particular wheel is a front wheel, and it's going to be rotating this way because the disc is going to be on my left hand side, as you'd expect. So this disc here, this is going to be rotating, right in my head now, it's going to be rotating that way, so we have to make sure that is on in that direction. So it's got to go on that way round. Now it is a 6 screw fixing. They're pretty much standard across the board, and all I've got to do is literally screw these little screws into those little holes, and hey presto, that'll then be fixed to the wheel. Now it wasn't my intention to be installing disc brakes to this bike, but like I said, I changed my forks, and like a fool I didn't realise that the forks didn't have any provision for V-brakes, because V-brakes are old-fashioned, they're old hat. This is the new idea. Well, it's not that new, it's been around for quite a few years now, the old disc brakes. Now these screws aren't Allen screws, even though I've got my Allen keys out. They're Torx. Basically they're So like a little star on the end there. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little, it's like a little star shape on the end. So what you need to have is a set of torque bits. In this case, I think these are T25s looking at it. Yes, they are. They're T25 torque screw things. That's probably fairly standard across the board. So I'm going to do these first with a battery drill with the torque fitting and set the torque relatively low because I just want to use that for a way of actually tightening up the screws hand tight. You don't have to use a battery drill. You can just use a hand tool and do them all by hand if you could. Now the nice thing of this one is that actually they're effectively being torqued up. If you do have an actual torque wrench, even better, because you don't want to over tighten them and find that you're going to ring or cross thread the actual aluminium of the wheel. I'll just turn the torque up a little bit and I'm just going to give it another little go. Turn the speed down a bit so I've got a bit more torque. So we have it. We now have our disc fixed to the wheel and ready for the next stage. And the next stage for me is going to be putting the swapping the tyre off, from the bike onto here. I'll put a new inner tube in it, but I'm going to keep with the old tyre because it will do me. Anyway, thanks for watching my little video on how to install your brake disc to your front wheel. And like I say, the reason why I did it is because I was a fool and I didn't actually look what I was doing, and I bought forks that couldn't take V-brakes. But this is going to be quite a nice upgrade anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're most kind, click like and subscribe, and maybe a little bell icon, because then you get a warm fuzzy feeling in your pocket that we may be uploading another video. And I know you'd be excited about that.